Morning. So it's a horribly smoky day out here in California. My husband came home with a really bad headache yesterday after working out in this up and down the valley. It's pretty thick today. I just walked out my sliding glass door and it smells really, really strong. And there's Mr. Rooster Cogburn with his girls. Oh, you didn't have to get up. You can get back down. So today I actually need to rake out their pen and the inside of the house, as well as everybody over there. And so we moved our son to college last month, and he used to always help me with the hot compost bins. Yesterday I started on this, and we had started in this bin, and it was time to turn it and move it to this bin, and I had to do it all myself. My forearms were hurting so bad. Okay, so I got my thermometer down in here, and we are sitting at about 98 degrees. I just soaked this all in after moving it. It had been in upwards of 150 in the other bin over there. And so it has pretty much done its hot composting, and now it will just further compost down. There are some red wigglers in here that I've added to help break it down and make the soil outcome even better. Currently this is nothing but let's see, grass. We now reached out to our neighbors up there, well, not them, but their gardener, and asked him what he does with the grass clippings, and he just takes them to the dump. So he was nice enough to say if we leave him a barrel out on the road, then he will go ahead and fill it up for us every week. So that's awesome. So that's what most of this is from our neighbor's grass. And the amazing part of that is where we live, there are just jackrabbits like crazy, and they like to eat on our neighbor's lawn, and so their lawn is filled with rabbit poop, which is amazing fertilizer. So I'm sure the mixture of grass clippings we get has a little bit of rabbit poop mixed into it, which is amazing. And then kitchen scraps that I do not feed to my worms or the chickens go in here. So like just all sorts of different stuff. But mostly this is grass, and then the clean out from the chicken coops, and my rabbits here give a layer of poop under here that I will shovel and throw into this pile as well. And the chicken, I guess I can walk over here so you're not just staring at the compost pile. So the chickens, the feathers and everything goes in there, and the feathers are filled with protein. Anyway, so I come in here and clean out their all of the droppings from inside their coop, which obviously that's getting done today. It needs done. Look, I've got eggs to collect. And then I will also go ahead and rake out their run. It is also filled with feathers. And I will do the same with these guys, with each one of their pens. These are my babies that are no longer babies anymore. I'll be moving the females in with the The big guy's over there. And I'll be moving Rooster Cogburn back over into here. And this is my sweet girl. This is Chichen, I call her. She was born with really thin skin, so I don't breed her because her back just gets torn open every single time. And then this is a Coronation. So this is a light Sussex, and this is a Coronation Sussex who was getting picked on and didn't have any feathers. And so I'm letting her, you can see, let me see if I can roll. Her feathers are just now coming back in on her backside. There, see, right there at the top is where they're starting to grow back in. So once she's all good and feathered out again, she'll go back into this pen. But all of these pens will be getting raked out and thrown into the hot compost bin. It looks like it's composting down pretty quick. We just actually, we had just done this, I don't know, I guess a couple months ago, a few months ago maybe, and turned it over into this one, and then let it sit there and finish its composting. And then we actually, I'm not sure if it's on previous video or not, but all of this planter is nothing but the soil from my hot compost bin. So we're getting ready to do that side up there once that pile that I just showed you is finished. Today these are elderberries out here, and so today I'll be removing those cages from them because they need some space to grow. You know, when we bought our acre, it was nothing but what you see right here. This chunky rock out here is this pink color stuff right here. It is pyroclastic flow from the Long Valley eruption that happened, I don't even know how many millions of years ago, or maybe a million years ago. But this is molten ash from that eruption. That's what all this is around our orchard. It's all up on the side of our property. But hey, no one can say we don't stand on solid ground here. Alright, so my job is going to be, we have been doing so much work on this backyard this year. All of this was old lumber because we had some massive issues with raccoons here killing my flocks, my chicken flocks. And so this is all of the old stuff that we have taken down, and we'll be, obviously we've already replaced and built the new stuff. So this will all go to either somebody who wants to come get it, or I'm not sure what we're gonna do with it yet. Anywho, so Tuesday we got our barrel of grass, and now I gotta find the hand truck to move it to the back. All right, mostly raked to a pile, and I'll just shovel it into the wheelbarrow. Well, we've done a couple of the pins now. I just have to get the run for the two big pins. And then this will go, we will put a layer of the grass down, and then a layer of this down, and then a layer of grass on top of it all to get it going again. I'm gonna not rake these guys out quite yet. I want them to eat their barley fodder down to nothing today. And after they finish eating their barley fodder, I will come out and rake out their pins. And inside the coop, I'll grab that. And we will get to put it in the hot composter. Chicken poop is very high in nitrogen, so it will, I need to make sure that I put a lot of carbon in with it, and that's what the, some of the dried out, the top layer of grass will do for me. So the great thing with grass clippings is that it is not only a carbon, but it's also a nitrogen. So the nitrogen part of it is when the grass clippings are wet. And then when the grass clippings dry out, it becomes your nitrogen. So in hot composting, oh goodness. It's always, every time I try to come out in video. Oh, look at this. You gotta sit on your sister? Huh? Anyway, so you just have to have, you know, your levels of nitrogen and carbon have to be pretty spot on to, let's set you guys up here while I fill the rabbit's waters. Shoot, let's see here. Maybe that'll work. Anyway, so your carbon to nitrogen ratio has to be pretty spot on for you to get a good hot compost going. Because you want to ensure that you break down any seeds that might be in like for instance, you know, I don't always shoot, gotta let the water run for a while, it's hot. Well, for instance, the grass seed, you want to kill that. You don't want that popping up anywhere you use the soil, as well as the tomato seeds, or let's say I throw a pumpkin in there, but usually that's not the case. I usually throw all of that kind of stuff into the worms or the chickens. And then what goes in the hot compost is what they, well, let's say the chickens for sure, what they leave behind. So, for instance, corn on the cob, they'll eat the kernels, and you know, it pretty much becomes nothing but the cob. So I'll throw the cob into the hot composter. They actually will take quite a bit of time to compost down, but let's say like the rind. There you go. Let's say the rind of the watermelon I throw out to the chickens. That actually usually goes to the worms, because the worms actually love watermelon. Watermelon and banana peels are a #1 feeder for my worms. All right, we got this good and wet. I cannot find our dolly. Oh my gosh, it's right there in front of my face. I've only gone through the yard twice looking for it. Anyway, nothing gets wasted here. Paper towels go in the hot compost. Coffee grounds either go to my worms or into the hot compost along with the filters. Either way, the worms will eat it or the hot compost will turn it for me. All right. I'm not sure how good I'm gonna be at doing this one-handed, but let's give it a go. All right, right, this is gonna take 2 hands, so I'll come back to you in a minute. All right, I want you guys to see something. So I'm pulling out the thermometer out of the hot compost pile. I'm gonna actually rinse it off. Okay. As you saw, it was like 98 degrees while it was in the hot compost. It's dropping almost down to 75. Almost 70. It's probably not going to drop a whole bunch more than that because of the temperature it is outside. So remember what I was saying about the grass being a carbon and a nitrogen. This has been sitting in this bucket since Tuesday. It is now Friday. So as you can see, there's some dried stuff on top that I was throwing out. But I'm going to show you down in the bucket. Can you see that it's turning like a... Well, you can see it's wet, right? So it was really actually very warm when I was starting to dig it out with my hands. Now watch the gauge. So, as you can see, it's active right now. That means it's actively composting. So we're already at 100 degrees inside there. I don't know how much higher than that it's going to go. It looks like it's stopped there. So it's at 102 degrees. And that's just after a couple days. So we're going to go ahead and start out with this layer. Oop. Start out with this layer. I'm going to add the chicken poop and feathers, which is a nitrogen. And then we will dump the rest of this on top of it. And then we'll just keep adding as we go. I've wheelbarrowed the chicken poop on over, and thought I'd take a minute to tell you kind of what my goal has been here on the hobby farm. And my finger's in the way of the camera. Anyway, so my goal here has been to be as sustainable as we can be. We have a little over an acre of property, and I wanted to make my property work for us. And with COVID, obviously, a lot of things changed, and you know, you couldn't get eggs in the store, and so I had to go back to, which I was going to anyway, it was just a matter of time. But after my first flock of, well, not my first flock, but after the last flock of chickens I had got massacred by raccoons, I was pretty devastated. So it took me a while to get over that, and then COVID forced me to jump right back into it again. When we bought this acre of property, we were so busy with our kids and sports that it really just got neglected, and we didn't have time to do much of anything. And so again, when COVID hit, we just really started busting our butts with all the time we had on our hands. And my husband had to work from home for quite some time, and so a lot of stuff got done here on the acre. And so we planted our garden, or our orchard. This is a nectarine tree here, which look at this. This was actually, it was about the size of this apple tree right here 2 years ago. And this past year, with it being right next to the compost bin and where I water regularly, if you can see, it literally drains right down into that tree and just really fertilizes that tree well. So it's grown exponentially. Over there we have a peach tree, our very first peach tree, a pear tree, and then the apple that I pointed to. This calendula here, the yellow flowers, those I use in making homemade hand salves because my hands get pretty dry and cracked out. It's great for animals if they're injured. I infuse oils with the calendula flowers. I dry them out in a really awesome netted, tiered, zippered thing that my daughter and her fiance bought me for Christmas. I mean, we've just tried to do as much as we can. Obviously, if you know anything about elderberries, they're nature's medicine. And so we're growing our own elderberries. And again, back to the whole dirt situation. You know, you buy a piece of property that's nothing but dirt and DG, like it's not good fertile soil, and then nothing but the pyroclastic flow from the Long Valley eruption millions of years ago. And the birds that I raise are dual purpose, so not only do they give me eggs, but the excess roosters we have end up in our freezer, and that's been a first for me. I've never actually eaten my birds. They've always been just for my enjoyment and the eggs. Everything here so far has a purpose, and what I found out is that I had to go stand in the shade while I talk. But what I found out about my calendula flowers, not only are they great for, so I make my own lotion sticks, and I make the hand salve that I was mentioning to you, or just salve, period. It doesn't need to be just for the hands, but chapped hands, it works really well. It can use cuts on abrasions and all sorts of different things. But I also, right behind me, here, I'm going to turn around so you can see, this is my Loofah arch, and so I grow my own natural sponge. Yes, they don't come from the sea. Right here, this is a Loofah, and pretty soon it will dry. They actually start out this really dark green color here with the little veins of light green. Hi, Big Jake. And then if given enough time, they will mature on the vine and dry out on the vine, and then you literally peel them and they make an excellent body scrub, facial scrub, and it's very soft and not harmful to your skin. And then they also make amazing dishwasher, like dish scrubbers, or in the bathroom to clean out your sinks or what have you. So again, I just try to do things on our acre that are going to benefit us and keep us from having to buy too much at the stores. So I don't know if you can see, but there's all sorts of them hanging down. It also provides amazing shade. Unfortunately, they also attract lots of ants. So this year has been a year of everything's been pollinated by ants for me this year, because we have literally not seen any bees. So now that I say that, all of a sudden there's bees on my loofah and I have not seen any this year up until now. Amazing. It's literally been nothing but ants. That makes me curious as if my neighbor was able to get a new queen bee. That's why we haven't had any, as our neighbor's queen bee died. We had a really bad winter and she died. But anyway, so I'm just going to go ahead and start scooping this in to the bin. We are back here after talking a little bit, and it looks as though we are at about 108 on the grass clippings. 108, yep, about 108. And I have gone ahead and thrown in the poop, the chicken poop, as well as feathers, as well as the zucchini and the corn cob that they didn't eat. And the feathers, did I already say feathers? And then I watered it down pretty good. As you can see, there's some of the little bits of rocks in there, and that's totally fine by me. I'm not bothered by it. In fact, it'll help with a little bit of air throughout it. So, and if I want to screen them out later, I can do so. So I'm going to go ahead and dump the remainder of the grass clippings on top of there, and then I will go ahead and do another layer of chicken poop from both the big runs, and then on Tuesday when the gardener comes again, I will do another layer of grass and be adding in kitchen scraps in the interim. So all right, you found some I hope you found this video helpful, and you should definitely start composting yourself if you can. It's a really great way to keep stuff out of the landfill and to also, you know, work for you. So, you know, not only am I getting good stuff to grow my elderberries, but they'll be used for potted plants and all sorts of good stuff next year. I'll show you this really quick. So if you see these little slide thingies right here, so I had those down, and then as you add your new compost, you just continue to drop a new slat down in there to build it higher. As you can see, this one has all of its slats in it, and I'm going to go ahead and add all of these for right now because it'll be easier for my husband to just dump myself or my husband to dump it. Actually, it's going to have to be my husband now because it's got to come over the top now that I got all the new stuff started. So yeah, all right, well, I hope you guys found this video helpful, and maybe it'll encourage you to also compost at your home. It doesn't really take much space to do so, and you know, you could really benefit from it and keep a lot of stuff out of the landfill. And at the same time you're keeping stuff out of the landfill, you're keeping it for yourself for amazing compost for your own needs at home, and put your potted plants, your vegetable gardens, all of the above. Yeah, so I hope you found this helpful. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already subscribed, do so you can see our next video. I'm going to kind of do a little bit of a tour of our place and kind of what our goals are here. And if you hit the bell notification, you'll be sent a notification letting you know when we upload new videos. So have a great day. See you next time. I'll show you this really quick. So if you see these little slide thingies right here, so I had those down, and then as you add your new compost, you just continue to drop a new slat down in there to build it higher. As you can see, this one has all of its slats in it, and I'm going to go ahead and add all of these for right now because it'll be easier for my husband to just dump myself or my husband to dump it. Actually, it's going to have to be my husband now because it's got to come over the top now that I got all the new stuff started. So yeah, all right, I got some chicken shuffling I gotta do. So I'm looking for little tips and advice here. So I have 13 birds in here, and 7 are roosters, 6 of them are, well, sorry, they're cockerels, and so 7 cockerels, 6 pullets. And I want to, because they're getting bigger, and this pen's okay for now, but I'm gonna move these 2 back into where they need to go. They were just in here to grow some back feathers back. They'll be going back into that pen over there with Big Jake and the 2 girls that are already over there. So I have to do that tonight when the sun goes down. And then my plan is to fill that empty one with checking things out with the new cage I brought. So I currently have 5 white Sussex hens in this hen house. Alright, so I have this rabbit cage that I'm not currently using, and I put some water in there and just this piece of siding right here. And I'm only gonna, I think I'm gonna put a rock on this side of this door so that it's only wide enough for the little guys to get into. I gotta rake all of these feathers up. But do you think that they would be okay with these? These hens right here are, let's see, they were a year in June, the beginning of June. They were a year old. And so the new guys are about 10 or 11 weeks old right now. Do you think that they'd be okay if I put them in, once it's dark, if I put them in the hen house up on the perches in there tonight, once the sun goes down? Do you think that they'd be okay, or do you think that I should stick them in here and let the girls kind of get used to seeing them? So it would be 5 big hens and 6 little, well, not much smaller than these guys, but not too much smaller, honestly. Or should I house them in this rabbit cage for a couple days and let them get used to the girls and then let them out slowly? I just kind of put this cage in here thinking that maybe, at least if they're going to get picked on, they'll have somewhere to go that the bigger hens can't get into. What are your thoughts?